that you're not sponsored by Oxygen.
By no means, no.
Okay, got it. So basically you didn't like the decision, right? You didn't like the fact that he won in this shape, right? Is that ultimately what happened?
Oh, it's deeper than that. I mean, it's quite easy to see that, to say that, Vlad. It's not about him ultimately. As a matter of fact, I would have been happy if Bonac won. Uh, what me actually I'm saying, and it's just my opinion, but obviously the fans all over the world share the same opinion mostly, is that ultimately when somebody has a bubble gut, I don't care if he's number 3, 4, 5, or 6, he should not just be there in the lineup. I think it just projects a bad image of bodybuilding. Personally, I'm not satisfied with it. It does not represent what the fans want, most of them. Of course, it agrees with the bigorexia, body dysmorphic guys, most of which they go there and buy the tickets and buy whatever hotel rooms in Vegas to assist there, and these guys don't see. They seem to be oblivious to the bubble gut because probably, I don't know, maybe it's a mental issue. But the majority of fans, the fans who are home watching millions around the world, do not agree with that. Like you and me, we're not huge guys. We're natural. We have humane looking physiques. We cannot agree with a guy having a descended stomach as being the ultimate representation of fitness. Doesn't make sense. It does not agree with their claim. As a matter of fact, when they give the guy a Sandow, that Sandow does not have a descended gut by no means. So it just doesn't make sense.
In their defense, right? If you take any professional bodybuilder on a stage at a certain angle, right, or at a certain shot, especially when they turn around, when they exhale, right, most of the pictures will have some sort of a gut. You know what I mean? Most bodybuilders will have that. Do you agree or not?
I don't
At a
actually.
certain,
I
especially when
don't.
they turn around and
I
exhale. You
don't.
know what I'm saying?
No, no, I don't. I absolutely don't actually. That's I think that's that argument does not stand, and a lot of other outlets are trying to claim that these pictures are basically chosen. They're picked to show the worst angle. It's not about that. Videos do not lie. Videos show the thing. I mean, you can go on NPC online right now, and they did disable the comment when there is a warm-up session backstage, and it was pretty much the 4th of July. It was Independence Day. So no, I do not agree whatsoever. It's not about the pictures. Furthermore, let me bring you back to the conference of Thursday when the champion himself, Phil Heath, was talking about the importance of the transitions in between poses, right?
Hmm.
Well, those bubble gut bonanza were happening mostly during the transitions. So it goes against that. If you're drinking, please allow me to do this. Hopefully you will not mind. Now, Vlad, you know what? This was properly opened, actually, and about to be consumed.
Yeah, that was good.
So, that's it, Vlad. Ultimately, it's not pictures being chosen. It's tons of pictures, and it was just there. Now, granted, most of these guys actually have bubble guts. Listen up, this is very important. Most of these guys actually do have bubble guts. As a matter of fact, not a single guy have a vacuum in the top 10. Even probably Cedric cannot do a proper vacuum. But there are levels, and in my opinion, the worst bubble gut there happens to be that of Phil Heath too. It is not that of Rolly Winkler. It is not that of Dexter Jackson, although both of them technically do have bubble guts. The most prominent, though, undoubtedly, in my opinion, is that of Phil Heath.
So Phil got upset at you, right, over those posts, and I guess the first thing he did after he won, he went on Instagram Live and he started,
Yeah.
pulling you out, right? That's what happened. That's how I really found out about it. That's how I found out there was a whole, social media war between you and him. But last time I spoke to you, weren't you guys friends at some point? Weren't you guys, not friends like real friends, but like on social media? Weren't you guys?
Yeah, we were talking sometimes on a daily basis. Yeah, that's true. We're talking probably on a daily basis. Not only me, but I was talking to his fiancée back then, and so on and so forth. And actually, I do not agree. I do not consider this being a war. I'm not in a warlike mood whatsoever. I'm not angry about it. So he called me out on social media. I think he insulted me by saying some curse word, which I'm not going to repeat, because if you follow me since 10 years, I never curse on my social media. I do care, or I try to care about my legacy. So I never say the F word or any kind of that thing. So yes, he came at me. Did it hurt me? By no means, no. Right? I mean, in my opinion, it just confirms that is something non-consistent by his claim. Because a few days before, he was saying that he is pretty much disconnected with social media, as far as I understood, because he is old school, so he does not care that much about social media. And to that, I answered by two things. First of all, if he is not putting importance on social media, how come he comes on Instagram Live like few minutes after the win, calling me out and talking about his pregnant bank account? That means he is not pregnant, but the pregnant thing is his bank account. And secondly, well, if he refers to old school, which is pretty much the golden era, allow me to remind him that the old school guys, like, I don't know, Francis Benfato or the giant killer of old, you name the guy, they used to have vacuums, Frank Zane and so on and so forth. So it just doesn't make sense. When I see a physique nowadays, listen, you're not the only guy who bring those questions about the pictures being chosen, and that's just fine. Are you telling me, and you're close with Arnold, because right now you guys are reporting all the Arnolds, right? Are you telling me that Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 2013, when he did actually protest officially against the bottle shape physique, is he blind? Is he oblivious? Is he creating things? Do you think it is fake news or what? I think that is outrageous.
No, not at all. I think what I'm saying is, I guess the whole, as you call it, bubble gut. I mean, I think it's just generally, it's more spread now. So
yes, it is widespread. Exactly. Hey, exactly. They need to cancel it, to ban it for everybody. I'm not talking about freaking Phil Heath. I mean, I spoke. I brought the bubble gut of Kai Green on social media way more than that of Phil Heath. And talking about the Oxygen gym, I was calling Rolly Winkler, who is one of their athlete, a bubble gut bonanza. It showcases that basically I don't care who has it. I mean, if Big Ramy tomorrow has a bubble gut, I'll call him out. Last year, when Big Ramy came on stage in pre-judgment and he was looking small, I called him Medium Ramy, and he did not like it. So I will not sugarcoat it because the athlete is from Oxygen or not. That is a bubble gut. I'm sorry, I go on record on your media and say I have a bubble gut phobia. I just do not like it. It does not appeal to me. And I think it does not appeal to the image of bodybuilding. And bodybuilding does not belong solely to the IFBB. IFBB are not the gods of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is something universal. The fans ultimately will choose what is the image they like. They dislike bubble gut. They need to understand it once and for all. There are other media outlets called RX something that trying to say the same thing. Those are fake news. Those pictures do not exist. He was inhaling, he ate, or any kind of thing. That they almost say that the fans do not know. The judges know. No, that's not true. I don't agree. Ultimately, the voice goes back to the fans. They will have to accept it, forcefully so.
Now, is your main objection here the fact that Mr. Olympia looks that way, or is your main objection that somebody else should have won? You know what I'm saying? Or is your main problem with the whole aesthetic of how they look in general, or do you think somebody else...
But it just happened to be that the first guy had the worst one. I mean, hey, if it was Dexter Jackson having the bubble gut, people would be talking about Dexter Jackson, even if he placed like third. It doesn't matter. Or actually, he placed fourth. But at the end of the day, everybody should comply with it. The first bubble gut scandal did not happen in Mr. Olympia. It happened in the Arnold Classic, when there was a slew, like 6 bodybuilders coming in, and they all had a bubble gut bonanza. The only guy who didn't have it in that lineup was Cedric McMillan. I think it was in 2012, 2013. And it started the whole bubble gut bonanza craze. It has nothing to do with Mr. Olympia. It's the standard. I mean, their statue they give to the winner at the end of the night looks humane. It looks aesthetic. May I ask you a question, Vlad? I think you're from Russia, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That's why you have an accent like Baba Yaga. I do salute. Now, if you bring a picture to your grandma, if she's still alive, you call them babushka, right?
Mm-hmm.
She takes a look at the bubble gut. By reflex, she will tell you that this guy has an issue. He has a health issue. He needs to check himself. It is a universal human thing to recognize sickness or abnormality when you see it. A bubble gut man who is shredded, muscular, and very lean just cannot project an image of fitness. It doesn't compute. Now, it does compute in for guys, ex-trainers who do not dare call in it. You know why? For two reasons. These so-called trainers and reporters who do not dare call in it, because they have one back in the day. It is on record. People can Google it or YouTube them, and they say that these guys were also part of the bubble gut bonanza craze merely a few years ago. And secondly, as far as I think, it is my opinion, they're afraid of the establishment, so they kiss ass. As simple as that. They're afraid of not being invited or being put apart. And some of them back in the day were, I think, as far as I know, is my opinion, I think they were banned by Olympia. They were not letting them get in the expo, so they were reporting from outside. And then they invited them back, so right now they're afraid probably. They're complying, basically. They're afraid.
So, in your opinion, who deserved to win this year's Olympia? I mean, if the problem is just
the next guy. The next guy. I mean, Big Ramy or Bonac, it doesn't matter. Both of them would have been happy camper. As far as I know, Phil Heath should not even be in the top three. I'm not saying put Bonac number one and then Ramy second and then Phil Heath three. Phil Heath should not even be in the top six.
See what you're saying. But, I mean, you don't think they have any type of guts, like, or is it just you saying his gut is bigger than their guts?
What?
You understand what I'm trying to say? Are you saying that William Bonac and Big Ramy didn't have the stomach issue?
Bonac does not have a gut at all. Compared to the others, no. Phil Heath, and that of Big Ramy, we did not see him prominent. So again, don't get me wrong. All the lineup, most of them, do have some sort of gut that is not ideal. The best one, probably the best gut there, was that of Cedric McMillan. It's nothing new. He's the most aesthetic guy. And the other guy who has a proper line was not in the lineup. I'm talking about Sergio Oliva Jr. These two guys do not have bubble guts at all. At all, from no angle. Transitions, pictures. Let me ask you a question. If these guys, the so-called specialists, are saying that these pictures are chosen and basically when the guy is relaxing, doing a transition, can you find me a single picture, just one, on Google, YouTube, of Cedric McMillan where he had a bubble gut bonanza, taken any time? So you're trying to tell me that these guys who have bubble gut, like Phil Heath or Kai Green back in the day, or Rolly Winkler, or freaking Marcus Rule, or Ronnie Coleman, we just choosing the time when they were breathing? No. When the camera is rolling, it is rolling. Stage time is universal. Is universally watched. When you're on stage, I'm sorry, you're on stage.
So my question to you is, ultimately, obviously, you always criticize certain people and you give your honest opinion. But why the whole back and forth between you and Phil? Why did Phil even care that much that you said that? I'm sure every time he wins, and that's his seventh Olympia title. He gets a lot of haters all the time. You know what I mean? Why does he care that much this time to really go in and respond like that?
You tell me. It's not the first time he answers me on social media. I used to do it I think 3 years ago. I don't know. You tell me. It doesn't concur with his claim that he does not put importance on social media. Next thing you know, he answered me. He answers fans. Back in the day, he was making fights with fans and so on and so forth. You tell me.
Right.
I don't know. Some say he has a thin skin. It's all funny to me. I'm on social media since 10 years. With time, you try to develop a thick skin. I don't think it's his case. You tell me. Do you think it is worthy of Mr. Olympia, the ambassador of the sport, to go versus a blogger and insult him and talking about the bank account being pregnant after basically making a so-called inspirational speech of win? A few minutes later, he goes there and he talks in a definitely not intellectually elevated way towards a blogger.
I'll be honest with you. I think he's more fed up with the criticism. Overall, I think he took it out on you. But I think every time he wins, every September when he wins, whether he was competing against, Kai, when he was beating Kai, or now it's Big Ramy is the underdog, it seems like he always gets that he should have lost. He
No,
always gets that
I don't
in
agree.
his defense.
No, I don't agree with you, Vlad. I don't agree with you at all. 2016, damn it. Last year, damn it. You tell me, who did criticize the win of Phil Heath? We applauded Vlad, let me remind you. Everybody applauded. He killed everybody last year by a long shot. Come on, Vlad. Be honest, bro.
But he always gets that. He always gets
no,
that. I'm not saying
no.
from you. I'm not saying from you. I'm saying
From nobody last year. Name me one person or outlet or fans that did criticize his win 2016. Just one. Go.
I'm sure there was someone.
No,
I'm sure there was
nobody. No, they applauded. You know what they criticized last year? The fact that they dared compare him with the rest. Because he killed them all. He was attracting the light. It was 3D for the rest. He was attracting the light and catching it and keeping it. He was ridges over ridges. He was just valleys and everything. And he had no bubble gut. Be honest, Vlad. Nobody dared criticizing Phil Heath's win in 2016. Come on, man. What is right is right. Not only that, listen. Let me put it on record, because some people are saying, bro, you're hating everything. No, I have to repeat this because people forget about it.
I'm not saying that at all.
No. Even this version of this year, 2017, if he had no gut, he is a worthy winner. Phil Heath, this year package, with no bubble gut, he kills everybody every single day. From every single shot. I don't even agree with Sean Ray when he said that Big Ramy wins the back lat spread. No, Phil Heath wins it. Phil Heath wins pretty much all the poses if you remove the bubble gut. It is what it is. So again, I do not agree with you. I put it on record. When Phil Heath is good, he's good. 2011, nobody did criticize Phil Heath. 2016, he was marvelous, man.
So what's happening with you right now? I mean, are you getting a lot of flack from his fans? I mean,
no.
I mean, what's going on?
No, like on my comment section, everything is just fine.
Just in general.
I'm not even no heat about it. I mean, no. I mean, everybody, most like the crazy majority of the fans are agreeing with me by a long shot. I mean, as a testament, go to my Instagram or my Facebook or my YouTube. I mean, it's overwhelmingly positive. To the contrary of other outlets, there is a guy who has an Instagram called This Is Not Bodybuilding, I think, or whatever his name. That guy closed the comment section because people do not agree with him, and basically, as far as I know, he always follows the line of the establishment. You go to Bev's gym close to you because you're in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Bev's gym Instagram, they disabled the comment section. If you go to, actually, I think Hani Rambod, the trainer of Phil, he did disable some comments on some pictures.
I'll be honest with you. Some people out there, I mean, they get really hateful on social media. I mean, they get like, I'm not talking about, okay, like you say something.
Fans, yeah.
Fine,
fans, okay, yeah.
Really hateful, man.
Yeah.
In Phil's defense, I mean, he has to block it sometimes because people say crazy shit. You know how it is, man.
Okay, but social media, get in tune with it. If you don't deal with social media, if you don't like the heat, do not come into my kitchen. Get in tune with the freaking times. And that's the problem. It is the disconnection with the establishment with times. They disregard the millennials. The sheer number of the fans are young fans. They roll with social media. If they don't agree with it, I'm sorry, they're dinosaurs. They will be replaced. They need to get in tune with the Internet 2.0. It is the new time. I think the champion did that mistake, but not giving importance to social media. And obviously we're proving him wrong. Social media is very, very important. You have a guy who doesn't go to their shows, who doesn't meet them, and he just basically speaks, and most of the fans happen to agree with him, and well, his opinion is counted. I don't meet the Oxygen team. I never met them yet. I will meet them though. I never met pros. I will meet them though. As a matter of fact, you invited me last year to come and join you in New York to do some stuff. You proposed to me to come to my place to film me. I always said no. So I'm not looking for the limelight. For me, being remotely placed, I'm doing my thing. I'm efficient, and I like it that way. It is a testament that you do not have to go there and bow down to the establishment to have a voice.
No, no, absolutely. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Phil's probably trying to avoid a lot of those people online because they just say hateful stuff. But listen, ultimately, what's going to be the bottom line here? I mean, are you going to talk to Phil eventually, or are you going to?
Me and Phil,
What's the goal? I mean, obviously, you criticize and you basically you comment on the culture of
the
bodybuilding.
culture, you said it right, exactly. And listen, it is very important. It has nothing to do with Phil ultimately. It can be anybody. It can be Kai Green. These guys, this is the problem. I'm gonna tell you, I'll try to say it in a very eloquent way. Hans, caffeine. Listen, ultimately is the image of bodybuilding, which I don't call a sport, it is a pageant. Phil Heath was proper in 2009. When he came, they said, no, it's not enough. You're too small. You're too aesthetic, for Lord's sake. Go ahead and gain muscle. You're too small. And he had to take 2 years off to be able to box with these guys, to come back and be able to be compared to Dexter Jackson and Jay Cutler. So ultimately, these guys are forced. As a matter of fact, when I post a video of Kai Green of 10 years ago, 2007, when he was posing on the music of Michael Jackson, Dirty Diana, Phil Heath salutes. He said, bro, when I saw this first time, I was inspired by it. He was inspired by what? By an aesthetic, small-looking Kai Green, not a monstrous Kai Green. But that Kai Green was not winning. Everybody ultimately has to comply with the rules of the bigorexia of the dinosaurs, the big fauna, and get big, too big. They're forced to consume substances. Vlad, my Russian you know that these guys do not consume creatine to get that big. They resort to extreme measures. The bubble gut is merely a side effect of that. When I see some so-called gurus and specialists there telling kids it is the result of food, it is disheartening. It is dishonest. These guys have those kind of growth because they resort to extreme measures to take them. So ultimately, in the big scheme of things, the big pictures is to save lives, in a sense, make them more healthy. Do not push them to be extreme machines. Adapt to the time. We have an industry that did not adapt since ever. Listen, you're European, so you're familiar with the Formula One, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, the Formula One used to have V12 engine, and then the V12 became too powerful. They had to reduce it to the V10 engine in the Alan Prost era. Like in Niki Lauda, they were like V12, and then they had to brought it to V10. The V10 became too powerful, so brought it to the V8, and then I think it was V6. Right now, as far as I know, it is a 4-cylinder turbo, and they made the car small for it to not be too aerodynamic, because it was too fast for the pilots. They were losing their mind. They were too, the speed was too tremendous, so they had to adapt to the evolution. Whereas bodybuilding, they did not adapt. They did not change the rule since Lee Haney. So we had Lee Haney, who was streamlined, aesthetic, with a vacuum. Please. And then a transition happened in 92 in Helsinki. They had to choose between an aesthetic Kevin Lavroni and also a small and who was so aesthetic Dorian Yates. But they were so close. And Dorian had to push it in 93 for whatever reason. In my opinion, he did it because he was afraid of the comeback of Kevin. He was so close. So he gained so much. And the bigorexia guys, even me, I was mesmerized by it. He didn't have a bubble gut there. We didn't know. It was like a novelty, an uncharted territory. We didn't know that he resorted to things. And by the way, on record, when he was interviewed back then, he denied the consumption of the vitamin G. He said, no, I didn't take, I was taking just the usual stuff, like Deca and Test, whatever. After so, he did confess that was the vitamin G. But after a while, the descended stomach came in when he injured his biceps in 94. He came with an injury and a descended stomach, and it got worse. And in 97, it was the epitome, right? And these guys had to follow suit. We had Nasser El Sambari. He was small in 94. He got big in 95, and his gut was huge. He had abs, but the gut was humongous. Marcus Ruhr came in, and of course, Ronnie Coleman. Everybody got big. Even Flex Wheeler got big in 98. It doesn't make sense. And the rules did not adapt. So the bottom line, ideally, and what the fans are asking, is that the bubble gut should be a disqualifying factor from the get-go. You have a bubble gut? I don't care about the rest. I don't care how good are your legs or your back. And do not dare telling me that the bubble gut is just one body part. No, it is central. It is pivotal. It is a basically an essential connecting body part. It is huge. It's like the sun being central in the solar system. So you cannot dare comparing the bubble gut with a calf or a big or small forearm, which are basically just secondary. You know what I mean?
No, listen, I think most people would agree with your statement here.
They agree. They agree. You know what? And they will change it forcefully. They have no choice. They will either adapt or lose their base of fans, and they know it now. Believe me, because both you and me are connected with guys who are very close to what's happening behind the scenes, right?
Of course.
And I can guarantee you that there is a big havoc. I mean, the message I received from the highest one, very close person to the establishment, bro, there is an uproar. My question for him, it was funny because I was driving. Bro, you tell me, what is the reason of this uproar? He told me the bubble gut gate. It's like the water gate. So right now there is a bubble gut gate.
But I mean, again, you know, I understand what you're saying. Nobody disagrees that gut is a good thing, obviously. But,
Yeah.
you know, bodybuilding, when it comes to men's open, it's an extreme, you know, call it a pageant, call it a sport. It's an extreme level of commitment, right? I mean, now there's a classic division where everybody's, you know, much thinner. But ultimately, we're talking about, you know, it's a very extreme lifestyle sport, whatever you would decide to call it. So
Very
when it comes to
important.
that level-
Very important point, Vlad. I salute you, my Russian you. Very important point. Listen. Exactly. They can choose to keep the bubble gut. They can choose. It is their prerogative after all. It is a corporation. They can choose to keep the bubble gut and disregard it. But at that time, they will lose the sheer size of the fans, the normal people like me, probably like you, who are normal, who do not suffer from bigorexia, from dysmorphia. I'm sorry, the reality of things, humans, most of us dislike the bubble gut. They will keep it in a niche, very restricted, very tight knit, and only the guys who call themselves Big Tony, Big Mike, Big John, you know, the bigorexia guys who weigh like 260 and they're puffy and watery. They have to check their estrogen level every few days, and they have to remove blood because they have, you know, they have to check their cholesterol. They have to take Viagra to have a hard-on. These guys, right, who have no job and they're broke because all their money is revolving around bodybuilding, right? These guys will be the ultimate fans of bodybuilding exclusively. The average Joe, I mean gym goer, the one who has a life, who goes to school, who happens to buy a pre-workout every once and then, will be absolutely disconnected, and he will continue watching the LUI because the LUI will support classic physique. That's it.
Well, that's fair enough, man. I think, you know, bodybuilding as it is, it's liked by or appreciated by a niche audience anyway, you know. And I think the bodybuilding surviving for so long, it shows that, you know, it doesn't need the mainstream audience, you know.
I don't agree.
In some ways,
I don't agree. Tell me about.
but I'm saying that, but they survived for so long, right?
It didn't. Well, it survived in the past. Are you willing to tell me that 2017 is not catastrophic for bodybuilding? It is the. I mean, the last time we made an interview, you and me, when we talked about me probably quitting reporting about this pageant, we agreed that the bodybuilding slowed down. The passion went down. It is the slowest year ever. There is no passion whatsoever. So it's going down. It survived, but it is not in the best of the shape. Hence, on record, Mr. Olympia himself, since as you know, we were talking almost on a daily basis, on record, I still have the conversation, he used to tell me, bro, what will these guys do after I'm gone? As far as I see it, it is a testament that he is worrying about the future of bodybuilding, sir. That's what's up.
All right, Louis. Well, thanks for your opinion, man. I wonder what's gonna happen next time. I'm sure that's, you know, there's gonna be a lot more.
Ideally,
between you two.
Ideally, I think they should drink some caffeine and eat some humble pie, and come on record, just like Jim Mannion did back in September 9th, 2015. When he came on record, he said, hey, we will create something called Classic Physique. Incidentally, that happened 5 days after I made a video. I'm not saying that he heard me. Probably a worker or his one of his employee, probably he heard my video and he said, hey, I have an idea. Let's create classic physique. And he said it like 5 days later on record. And look how successful it is, classic physique. Look how deep the competition has come in only 1 year. Only 1 year. And I told them that back then, and it is on record on my video. I told them, listen guys, if it makes money, it makes sense. You will be appealing to a broad audience. You will make it big. And it worked. They're so good, these guys. They're inspiring. I made a video about a guy called Chris Bumstead. My words were flowing. It was like poetry because he was inspiring. It was beauty, right? And I'm sorry, bodybuilding does not belong to IFBB. When I take a look back at Bob Paris, at Lee Haney, at Lee Labrada, at Mike Christians, those aesthetic guys of old, they do not belong to them. They're universal. So me wanting bodybuilding to come back to that era is not a wishful thinking. It is merely bringing it back to its root, to its sanity. I would prefer Phil Heath to look like he was in 2009. I would prefer him to not be forced to be gigantic, right? And resort to extreme measures. I know that these guys have to eat like crazy. I know that they have to consume things like crazy to be that size. Is it good? I don't think so. And furthermore, since we're making this video, I really did not appreciate that there was not an official homage rendered to Dallas McCarver. How come you have a competitor who was qualified to Mr. Olympia who passed away recently and there was no official homage to him in Mr. Olympia? Doesn't make sense.
I'm not sure. That's a good point. But there's one last point I want to make though. I think sometimes in bodybuilding, right? I mean, it becomes hypocritical because I know many bodybuilding fans. They want to see mass monsters, legitimately. They want to see that mass on stage. They want to see people like Big Ramy. They want to see it. You know what I'm saying? They want to see.
I don't care.
Big Ramy's popular.
Yeah, but you can get freaky as long as you respect the lines. If you're freaky and your weight is still okay, I'm a happy camper. Ideally, ideally,
it's difficult to, you know.
I know, but ideally, Big Ramy should be a little bit smaller too. He's being pushed. I mean, he tried every recipe. He came at 285 and he said, bro, you're too small again. So he's pushed. And ultimately, if he continued that way, he would have a bubble gut too. So it's the whole image. You know what I mean? It's the whole image. These guys are being pushed. Whatever they do, bro, it's not enough. You know what I mean? You have Brandon Curry who did his max. He looks proper and they put him number 8. He was the hardest guy on stage. He was the most conditioned with crazy bellies. Next thing you know, number 8. For what reason? We don't know. There's just, okay, we don't know. So ultimately, the take home sentence of this interview, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of fans, if they want to make it more popular, at the end of the day, it will bring them more money in their pocket. Mr. Mannion, are you listening? Mr. Steve Weinberger, and by the way, Steve, as I told you, close the comments on his social media. If you're listening, sir, why don't you just come to reason and understand that the money making machine is not the Big John and the Big Tony and the Big Frank who come to you and they suck up to the establishment. It's ultimately the average school kid, the average college kid, the worker who is gym goer who watches you from afar, and they're worldwide. These guys are the money maker. They buy the powders, they buy everything. If you appeal to them more, giving them something they like, something more human, it is fine for your business. Come to reason and just make one rule. I don't care about the current criterion or criteria of judging. Keep them for the Lord's sake. But make a general rule, an essential one. And then go on to the rest of the judging metrics. That rule, bubble gut, automatic disqualification. I repeat, bubble gut, ultimate disqualification. It is a subjective pageant after all, for Lord's sake. Make it a subjective rule. You have a bubble gut? Bye-bye. Arnold screamed about it on top of his lungs. He said, I don't want to see it. Bottle shape physique. What else do you know? We know there is a rivalry, there are rivalries. I mean, between, and you know that damn well, Vlad. You know it. You know it because you cannot film bodybuilders. You cannot film Phil Heath, right? Can you?
It depends.
Okay, you were not able to bring him in Generation RN2, right?
Well, that was never a conversation about that.
Exactly, but could you?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's what's up. You can do Kai Green, but others no, because they had contracts and whatever, some rivalries inside and out between some outlets and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, it does not serve.
It's a complicated.
It is. I know about it. It is. Of course, you cannot talk about it, and I do salute that and I respect that. What I'm saying, they need to bypass those rivalries between Arnold and other established people. If Arnold calls for a bubble gut, do not dismiss that because you want to be his rival and your word is bigger than him. Come to your sense. It's not about Arnold. I still do not salute Arnold for the fact that he did not post nothing about the passing away of Rich Piana and also Dallas McCarver. As far as I know, not a single post on his social media. And he's the first one to go ahead and post things about veganism, about saving the planet, and so on and so forth. And when a bodybuilder passes away who was competing a few weeks ago or a few months ago in his Arnold Classic, he does not speak about it. I think it's a little bit uncalled for. So it's not personal. I will not salute Arnold. By the same token, I will not salute Jim Mannion if he does not basically come into reason and listen to his fans. Just make a general rule.
Classic physique happen because they listen to the fans?
They listen, so follow suit. I mean, hey, were we right? Were we right? I guess we were right. Maybe we're right again. I told them about the classic physique and it worked. It is marvelous. It is a tremendous success. Chris Bumstead, he spoke to me a while ago. He was telling me, bro, what do you think? Do you think should I go to bodybuilding or classic physique? I told him, no, classic physique, go for it. He said are you sure? I said, yes, you are bespoke. Your physique is tailored for classic physique. Look at him now. World sensation. The dude was a bodybuilder. See? And it happens quite fast. It changes. They need to understand that the only certainty with millennials is uncertainty. They change their mind very soon. YouTube was the best consuming data for, the biggest outlet when it comes to media. It has been surpassed by Facebook, and then Facebook was surpassed lately by Instagram when it comes to the bandwidth. So millennials change over time rather quick, and the powers that be, the establishment, need to come to reason humbly, not bow down to me or to the fans, but to reason and say, hey, they're right. Let's establish a sane rule. They're doing service to the guys, because the guys, the athletes, no one of them will dare saying this because he will be dinged. These guys will not be forced to be monsters. They will be looking humane, definitely smaller. They can come as big as they can, as shredded as they can, as long as there is no bubble gut. So it will set a new rule, and it will ripple down to the amateurs, to the fans all over the world, and everybody is a happy camper. At the end of the day, it will save teenagers. It will not push them to be following suit of monsters, because we know it is detrimental for their health and for the image. So everybody is a happy camper. It is a positive. It is a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, I think there's a big chance that 5 years, 10 years from now, there might not be an open class because the classic physique will be slowly taken over. And if
that's
you
what
really
I told.
There's only
I made
there's only 18 people on the stage.
I made a video a few months ago. I called it "Bodybuilding is Dead," something like this. Bodybuilding is dead, and classic physique is the new bodybuilding. If they want to leave it that way, ultimately yes. As I said, it is their prerogative. If they want to leave it that way, I do predict that bodybuilding will die. Not only me, their champion, is alluding to that. So I do predict, if they don't listen to the fans, bodybuilding will die out. It will be rather just a fetish, not only a small niche, but a fetish for some fetishists who love distended stomach and big guys. It would be a freak of a show, as simple as that. And by the way, did you know about the divorce between IFBB, basically pro, and IFBB amateur league? You didn't yet?
I heard it very briefly about it. I don't know the...
Yeah, it's big. And supposedly, it happened because the international judges do not agree with the criteria or the rules of the NPC judging. So it's a big deal. Almost like 200 countries are basically parting away from IFBB and NPC and Mr. Olympia and so on and so forth.
Okay, Louis. Well, listen, I appreciate the interview. I think that, the debate's going to continue as always. There's going to be a lot of people against you, a lot of people for you, but ultimately we'll see what happens, man.
We'll see what happens, and we put everything on record. I salute you, Vlad. Hopefully, I will see you soon, and you will take me to the Baba Yaga bar. I want to see it.
Let's make it happen, man.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice one.
All right, Louis.
Bye
Take
bye.
care, man.